Okay, so we're beginning the Midweek Howl, the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast, and apparently the Phil Garrett producer approved new audio version of the Midweek Howl, because Phil said you and I sounded spectacular last week. So how about that?
Well, as I eat this cookie and he hears me chomp, I think it's going to sound great. Right?
So as this comes out, this will come out. Happy Valentine's Day. This will be coming out on Valentine. Happy Valentine's Day. What do hopefully I'm the first one to wish you happy Valentine's Day.
You are, yeah. You're the only person, I hope we always, listen to that. It sounds kind of queer, but
that I'm the only one that wishes you happy Valentine's. Well, there's nothing sexual about that. I'm saying happy Valentine's Day. It's a day I'm wishing you happy. It's also Fat Tuesday. No, was it Fat Monday or is it today Fat Tuesday?
Fat Tuesday.
So today's Fat Tuesday. You and I are both celebrating Fat Tuesday, but then we're fat every Tuesday. And Valentine's Day all rolled up into one. And you guys are probably still celebrating the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl.
I was just saying yesterday that I had a teleconference this morning. And my significant other said, "What are y'all going to talk about?" And I said, "I know what they're going to talk about the first 10 minutes will be the Kansas City Chiefs."
Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champions. That was a great, I'm assuming you guys watched. That was a great Super Bowl. It was kind of, I've expected maybe a little more scoring in the first half, but it was all in all, it was a pretty good Super Bowl. And I thought it was pretty much mistake-free by the referees. And yet there's still all kinds of people screaming conspiracy theories.
I seen somebody say the other day that because of bad calls, and I'm like, dude, I think it was almost halftime before the first penalty was called.
Well, here's the problem, okay, is if you don't call penalties, then people complain that you're not calling enough penalties. And if you do call penalties, then they complain that you're calling too many penalties. So the moral of the story is 90, and I hate to say this, but 95% of the people that are watching these games, they don't really understand the game at a level of actually being out there and playing it and coaching it. They only understand it from a fan level of watching it. And I think they think they know a little bit too much about the game. And look, you could call holding, you could call probably hands to the face. You could probably call offsides. You could call a lot of things every single play. But you can't. If it doesn't really affect the play directly, you can't really call a penalty every play, because then the game is just no fun, But the only people that complain about penalties being called or not being called is if it affects their team. You know what I'm saying? So I think people should just, enough with the conspiracy that the NFL's scripted. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
I think they were saying that they somehow accidentally got an extra down or something, right?
Well, the problem is that when people put that up and they're showing it, and I've seen that clip, nobody bothered to look down on the sideline and see that the sideline marker shows third down, okay? And that the graphics were wrong on the television. And that if you looked at the sideline markers, which are official, not the line that the TV station, channel puts on the stuff on the sideline shows the actual line of scrimmage, what down it is, and where the first down is. And according to that, it was third down. He had like 2 yards to go, and he got it. And they gave him a first down. But nobody bothers to look that close, which it does not take a genius to look that close. I saw it, and I looked and saw right away. I'm like, okay, what are they doing? But irregardless, I mean, if the Chiefs still were the better team because Andy Reid's better coach at that point in time in that game.
Well, they said a while ago on the radio they were worried he was going to retire.
Well, retire while you're on top, right?
That's what they said. But Travis Kelce wants to do a three-peat.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean,
I wonder when his contract's good till.
Travis Kelce's. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but he's a gamer, and I know, because of course he's an Ohio guy and he's a Bearcat. So
is he? I knew he went to Ohio. Where'd he go? Miami or Cincinnati? Where'd he go? Cincinnati?
Yeah, he went to. He's from him and his brother from Cleveland, and they both went to Cincinnati. So how about that, man? Their careers ended up a little better than mine.
Hey, but, I was watching. Speaking of a football movie, there was something I was watching on Netflix. My boy was watching last night, and this was a poor guy in Ohio.
What was that?
I don't know. I'll have to. Anyway, let's keep talking about what you want to talk about, and maybe I'll come back to it.
Well, I was just saying that I think the conspiracy stuff. I mean, look, we have a podcast that deals with conspiracies with UFOs and Bigfoot. Well, yes, we all do. You're part of it, reluctantly, with the conspiracies with the Bigfoot and the UFOs and stuff. And those make more sense as a conspiracy than that the NFL is scripting games and somehow. I mean, those guys out there, you could not pay. I am guessing 95% of those guys enough to throw the Super Bowl because the NFL wanted it done, wanted one winner over another. I mean, those guys are competitors, and they have played and put their bodies on the line the whole year, and they're not just going to say, "Yeah, okay, we'll give it to the Chiefs." No, that's not how those guys operate. They're competitors. They want to win. To be a Super Bowl champion for the rest of your life, it does mean something in those circles. So the people that say it's scripted they're kind of being disingenuous and to the guys that are out there playing, I think. So. Although an ex-Raider guy did come out and say he thinks it's all scripted, but then
why did he say that? Who was he?
A guy that played linebacker and hasn't played in like 3 or 4 years, and I didn't dig into why he said it. I think he probably just said it because he wants to get on some podcasts. So maybe we'll ask him to come on. Maybe he's trying to get on Joe Rogan, and talk about the conspiracy. So, but I don't know. And then I saw people were concerned about how many aliens were in Super Bowl commercials. That was the other conspiracy that was out there, that the NFL and the government had joined together to make sure there was a lot of aliens in Super Bowl commercials, so that they were prepping us for an alien invasion. Did you see that one?
No, but how do you?
I mean, the extraterrestrials are already here. They're already here. We don't need an Uber Eats commercial to remind us.
See, I don't remember. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings till halftime, so I don't even know. But it had on 50 TVs, and I was talking to a guy, and I wasn't paying attention to the commercials like I normally would if I was at my house.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that, people are throwing around that, Mahomes is the GOAT because he's won, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. You know who does not get credit for winning 4 Super Bowls anymore is Terry Bradshaw. You know what I'm saying? 4? Yeah, he won 4 Super Bowls when we were kids in the 70s. When there was a lot of dynasty type teams out there, like the Raiders and oh God, I can't believe saying the Dolphins, but the Dolphins and the Cowboys and Vikings I mean, those teams are all dynasty worthy teams in the 70s, and the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. I don't think Bradshaw gets enough. And I mean, I'm a Browns fan. You know how hard it is for me to say that Bradshaw should get a little more attention. But yeah, I mean, people just kind of forget the stuff he did, And I gotta be honest, I would think that Steeler defense back in the day with Jack Lambert and Mean Joe Green, some of these guys today might not make a whole game playing against those guys.
Well, that's what I told my son. We were watching something, and I don't remember what we were saying. Maybe as they showed some old guys how they do, Joe Mon. They showed some old guys. They said something, and my son, who's a Jack Tatum fan, said, "How do you think those guys, Mahomes would do against Jack Tatum?" And I said, "He'd be already out of the game. He got his freaking head ripped off already."
Yeah, it's different, man. Way different. I mean, those guys on the Raiders, George Atkinson and Tatum, and those guys used to do a thing called the hook,
right?
Where they would have their arm in an L-shaped 90-degree angle, and if you came across the middle, they would try to take your head off with that, and it was legal. They had to they had to make it illegal, but for a while that was legal.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he? I mean, he like paralyzed somebody or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he paralyzed Daryl Stingley. And that was just, I mean,
that was just a course of doing business.
That was just, I mean, it was a pretty good hard hit. Daryl Stingley's grandson plays for the Texans.
No, I did not know that.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best defensive backs. So, but I mean, so you tell me, do you really think that the NFL could put together a conspiracy to make sure? Because if you were going to do that, wouldn't you want the Browns versus the Lions? Wouldn't that be a much more compelling?
I don't even know, but the next thing you know, in 20 years, it'll be like the point shaving in basketball or something. I don't know.
But that's
a couple. Never.
But that was a couple. Anytime there's been that sort of thing, it's been one rogue guy who's done it, or
that
a couple.
Of. They pinned it on one rogue guy. That's like saying,
here we go. Now you're open.
Hey, when bad shit happens in the government, they say, well, it's just one dude. It's one bad guy. And it's like, no, it's a whole system that enabled that bad dude to get away with it.
Okay, I'll buy that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's essentially one guy.
A bunch of bad coworkers that don't want to speak up. Right?
I'll buy that.
Which probably happens more than not, because especially in today's world where nobody wants to make anybody mad, hurt their feelings.
Oh, who doesn't? Everybody. I got to say, I think it's just the opposite. I think people relish the ability to make people mad and hurt their feelings and don't care. I mean, that's what I see on social media. People just don't care. It's the thing that you've said time and time again, is that people just can say stuff anonymously from across the country, whereas back in our day.
Yes. Okay. So I agree with you on that point, but I'm talking about people in a workforce or an office environment. Most of them just go along to get along because they're afraid that you'll file a complaint on me, or I'll have to confront you. Maybe I'm just thinking about a lot of the cops that I knew. You know what I mean? Biggest chicken shits there were.
Oh, Jesus.
What? Well, they wouldn't think nothing of giving you a ticket on the way home or whatever, right? But then when bad shit happens, or the call needs to go to the violator, they didn't see nothing. Oh, I don't know. I tell you, I think I told this story one time, but I was a witness on a EEO deal. Okay, you were a federal employee, or are sort of like that. Okay, so I'm going to give you the backstory. This is the backstory, and I've told the story before. So if it sounds better this time, this is the truth, and if it sounded better last time, that was the truth, and I can't remember. But I was in an academy environment with a little Korean girl that was about 4'10" and 95 pounds. Okay, and she graduated, but where she went in Washington, D.C., that particular field office, For some reason, they did not feel that she was big enough and tough enough and bad enough. Okay. So administratively, they screwed around with her in training until they said, hey, you don't meet the minimum criteria, we're firing you. Okay. So you know how that worked out for him. She goes down to 1-800 eat shit and gets a EEO complaint lawyer or whatever. And 3 years later, my boss calls me and says, hey, they're wanting to depose you for this EEO deal, you know, cloak and dagger stuff. And I said, that's cool. So I said, what is it about? I don't know. We got an administrative subpoena here, blah, blah, blah. So he sent it to me. And it was like her, I'm not going to say her name, against the United States of America is the first one. And then I don't know if you jacked with any lawsuits, but they always try to get they start at the top, right? So they're suing the president or whoever, you know what I mean? It might have been Bush at the time, now I think about it, but whatever. It was the director of Homeland Security. There has about 7 people she was suing. So these 2 black lawyers, female black lawyers, and I only throw that just to give you a little. I'm trying to paint a picture to the listener, right? Got 2 black lawyers from Baltimore or Washington D.C., and they're questioning me. And in that line of questioning came the question: did you know she was of Korean descent?
Okay.
And I said, well, I knew she was something. And the second one stopped. The one's asking me a question. The other one stopped and said, well, what do you mean you knew she was something? And I thought, okay, here I've done running the ditch. You know, I usually run the ditch with my mouth when I'm in those kind of environments sooner or later. I said, well, have you met her? And they said, yes. And I said, okay, she's Asian of some sort. She's Korean, Japanese, Chinese. You know what I mean? She's something.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, so you could readily recognize that she was of Asian descent. That's what you're saying. And I said, that's exactly what I'm saying. And then as they're scribbling down, I said, don't tell me somebody said they didn't know that. And the gal, the second one, stopped me, looked up and said, yeah, several of your coworkers said they didn't know she was of Asian descent. They thought she was a white girl. And I said, well, they're either lying or they're stupid. And I'm going to tell you what happened. The next promotion round, those 2 guys that said, and I've since found out who they were both promoted. One of them is a SES, and it don't mean anything. He's beyond 15, right? He got promoted to 14, 15. Now he's an SES guy, and he didn't know what the difference between a freaking 4'10" Korean girl and a white woman was.
Now, do you? No, I'm.
I don't believe them. They're just they just didn't want to take a stand because, oh my God, she might make mad at me next time around, or the government. Usually it's the government. Well, I don't want the government to realize that if I testified to, we knew she was Korean, maybe the organization will lose a suit, and then the boss's superiors will look it up and say, we lost because you 2 Nimrods didn't lie fast enough, good enough.
But the fact that she was Korean had nothing to do with why she was.
I specifically said they did everything they could to get her through, and the gal goes, "Now, why would you say that?" And I said, "Well, on her defensive tactics, because she passed defensive tactics in the academy, but she failed defensive tactics at the field office." And I said, "I was her DM, defensive measures. I was her DM partner." And I said, other than the fact that I'm 6'2", 265 pounds and a badass, okay, I grew up in the Ozarks. If I wanted to, there was no way she could beat me, cuff me, win in any situation. But so-and-so, he was one of the guys named in the suit, so-and-so specifically asked me to be her DM partner to get her through because her classmates hated her so freaking bad. They were beating her up all the time and making her fail. So I said, they did everything they could to. Yeah, that's what happens in those environments. They graduated from the academy and then they let the field worry about it. But that's a whole nother topic that I shouldn't be talking about. But
I'm making a note. No, we're not talking about the field because talking about going in the ditch. I could see we'd end up in the middle of the field talking about the field. Um, I could see right where you're going with that one. With that one. Yeah, I've never heard that story before. So I
thought I told it. So yeah.
No, I think this one's the truth then.
Yeah.
I think this is the truth. Now, back to the Super Bowl and Super Bowl commercials, and you were not paying attention. But did you see the previews for they had a bunch of movie previews. Did you see what they're remaking? Which I don't think needs remade, but they're remaking Twister.
Yeah, I saw that. And I saw that when I was sitting there. When I was sitting there and I saw that, the guy with me said they are not remaking that. And I said, well, I guess they are. Look at it.
At first, without investigation, I thought maybe it was a sequel, like 20, 30 years. What was it, 96 when that came out? So whatever, 30 years later. It's just a reimagining of the movie. That was a great movie. Like what?
And you don't think they're going to do a better job of it this time, or what?
How could they? Just some better special effects? I mean,
I don't know. They're redoing Roadhouse. Didn't we talk about Roadhouse last time?
Oh yes, they're redoing Roadhouse, and they're not going to make that any better. I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I think we said that before.
I think they're running out of stories, right?
You and I got great stories, which
you do. I don't finish mine.
But you got it. But we did have a fan, one of our super fans, made a comment about you wanting to do a movie about your aunts that were truck drivers, and he said if you don't make that movie, it's a crying shame if we don't write that screenplay.
Well, with Chris Christopherson retiring, I don't know who would get to play the male role.
But is there a male role? Who would be the female?
You gotta have. Maybe he's the adversary. Maybe he's the spurned lover that didn't realize she was whatever she was, a truck driver. He thought she was a pharmaceutical sales rep. In reality, she's hiding the fact that she's a truck driver. She's afraid that if he finds out the truth that she's a gear jamming mama, that he can't put up with it.
Like a gear jamming mama.
Mm-hmm.
She's a modern day Large Marge.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she's small. Those trucks nowadays are automatics and shit and power steering. I mean, these old gals can be any size, I guess, and drive them. Right? I mean, God, your family owns a trucking business. You know what I'm talking about.
I know, but I don't. Well,
I know you don't drive them, but
they got Izzy in the truck. Doing stuff,
as she should be
doing stuff on the farm.
Let me tell you, everybody with a daughter needs two things: take her to church, teach her how to shoot a gun, and teach her to drive. The bigger, the better. Mm-hmm.
The bigger, the better. Yeah, my family, she's out there on the farm. They're like, hey, hop up in the semi.
Exactly, and
she's like, okay,
and that will pay dividends in the dating world, because she's not going to, they're going to have to bring it to impress her. Oh, you drive a big truck? I can drive a freaking 18-wheeler at my grandpa's every weekend. That ain't shit to me, Jack. You want to talk about a Duramax diesel or whatever your diesel pickups, dude? I drive a 3208 Cat, 13-speed.
Oh man, I'm sometimes I think it's good that you live so far away. You might be a bad influence.
On who? On your well, I don't know, but it's true.
Because she would love everything you're saying. She'd be like, yeah, of course.
That's exactly right. It's like my daughter. I mean, she was shooting a 12-gauge shotgun and trap when she was 11. She used to be real good. She's kind of sandbagging on me the last year or two, but yeah, they say you shoot a 20-gauge. You do. No, I shoot a 12-gauge over and under Beretta. I drive a 4-wheel drive crew cab pickup. I don't need shit from you guys.
Well, speaking of that, what are you getting your wife for Valentine's Day? Can you tell?
Let's see. She's on her 4th freaking house, her 13th new car over the last 30 years. I think I fulfilled that obligation pretty damn good. What do you want to start with? 3 kids, 2 dogs, what?
Every day's
swimming pool, calling a cement pond. I mean,
every day's Valentine's Day.
That's right. Every day's. That's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. I wonder what she would have to say. I wonder what she'd have to say.
Probably the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh
well.
my gosh. Well, I hope everybody out there has a good Valentine's Day. You know, I hope they get some chocolate. Hope they maybe get to have a romantic dinner. You know, spend some time with their loved ones. You know, that's what everybody deserves on Valentine's Day. You know, if you need me to send you some chocolate, I'll send you some chocolate. You just tell me what kind you like.
I eat any kind of chocolate. I was eating chocolate today. I got a bunch of chocolate last week on my birthday, and I'm still eating it.
Wait, last week was your birthday?
I did, yeah. I think I told you that. I think I talked to you the night before my birthday. I don't know what day it is today. No, we didn't. It was 2 weeks ago now. We talked, and I just neglected to tell you because that's what the first thing the kids asked me when I got upstairs. What did they say about your birthday? I said I didn't tell them it was my birthday.
I gotta write this. I better write that down then. Mm-hmm. When it's your birthday. I can't believe it doesn't come up in my phone.
Well, that's because I don't put it in my phone because.
Yeah, but I mean, if I know, I'm sure.
You mean you would put it in there?
Well, when you wish somebody on my phone, if you wish somebody happy birthday in a text, it asks you if you want to remember that so that the next year it'll come up on their birthday and remind you it's their birthday. See what I'm saying? It does that. That's what it does on my phone. So, well, happy belated birthday. I didn't even know it was your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I feel bad now. I feel like I'm lesser of a man because
my dad does a birthday doesn't mean nothing. I mean, hey, you know, I'm gonna switch. I know we're about to hang up, but I watched a thing on Discovery or one of them today. Did you ever see the movie Death Hunt with Bronson about the mad trapper?
No, but I heard that was a good one.
Dude, they were up there. That was a true story, and they were up there in one of them expedition discovery kind of deals. It wasn't Josh, what's his name, but it was similar to that.
Yeah.
And they freaking dug him up because the constables finally got him shot, and they dug him up and did an autopsy and all this stuff to try to figure out who he was.
So wait a second. So you're saying the movie Death Hunt was based on a real story?
Yes.
Even
when they were telling the story, though, when they were going through the story of the movie, the guy that Lee Marvin plays actually got killed. He was the second or third constable that the guy shot him. Where in the movie, Lee Marvin turns it over to another constable and runs off with not Wonder Woman, but
Linda Carter.
Is that no? It wasn't Linda Carter. It was close. It was IMDb 1981. I thought it was older than that. Why can't I? I'm telling you what, man. I got too many windows open on my desktop here. I don't know how to do this. No. Why is it doing that? I'm going to just do it on my freaking telephone. It works 20 times better than my computer. It says it was...
Ooh, Angie Dickinson.
Angie Dickinson. See, you got it faster than me.
Carl Weathers is in that too.
Oh, yeah. He was
Sundog, it says.
Yeah, he was a Sundog. That's right.
Wow, this is a star-studded cast.
Oh, yeah.
William Sanderson, who is he's a great character actor. Wow. Ed Lauder, he's a great.
Yeah, he was in something I watched the other day.
Ed Lauder, he is in what is he in? Oh, I didn't know he was a stand-up comedian. He's born on my birthday, October 30th, 1938. Everybody's like, who's this Ed Lauder you're talking? Longest Yard. Wasn't he the warden in The Longest Yard?
Yes, but I was watching something else he was in too.
Cujo?
Oh, it was that movie I showed you the other day, but it was actually filmed in 2006 that I didn't watch until last week.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. Holy smokes. 200 movies. 200 movies.
See, why can't I just be that? Why can't I just be a character actor?
Well, you probably could. We're doing 3 movies this summer with Gary. So at some point,
I expect a call on every one. I'm gonna drive out there and character act.
All right, the first one is about a serial killer. It needs some cops and stuff. So I'll see what Gary's got planned. But we'll have to get you in 1 or 2 of them.
Absolutely.
Phil's doing 5 movies this summer.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get any of those. You'd think Phil would hook us up, but
he's got a lot of, there's a lot of hogs in that trough. A lot of people need taken care of.
Well, speaking of Valentine's Day, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's when the hogs come out. I guarantee you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.